If you're using ChatGPT for project management, but keep getting inconsistent results, you're spending time reprompting, fixing outputs, perhaps you're even starting from scratch every time you use ChatGPT with brand new conversations and chats, trust me when I say there is a better way. I've built a project management interface inside ChatGPT that streamlines all of my work. I'm talking better outputs first time, less back and forth, and hours saved every single day. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can create your own step by step. So now let me walk you through it. So the first thing to do is open up your ChatGPT account and navigate to the sidebar in the left-hand panel. The functionality that we are going to be using is GPTs. Now, you may be familiar with them already, but if you're not, just very quickly, let me explain what they are. Imagine them as a custom ChatGPT, or in other words, we will be feeding ChatGPT with a range of different insights that will enable ChatGPT to perform in the way that we need and the way that we desire. That's as simple as it really needs to be. So if I go back to ChatGPT, the next part of the process is to click on Explore GPTs. Now, when you do this, you will be greeted with this interface. Now, at this point, I'd strongly recommend just looking through all of these GPTs that are publicly available to use. There are so many in here that you might not even be aware of that have a range of different capabilities and might save you a lot of time, and there may be a lot of use cases for them in your life in general, not just inside work and as a project manager, but outside as well. So have a look through these and also search as well, because it may be that you don't see them on this interface, but they're kind of deep within ChatGPT itself. Now, of course, we are creating a custom interface. It's not been created yet. So we're going to need to create this from scratch. So to do so, on this screen, once you get here, we are going to kind of go to the top right of the interface and click Create. Now, when you do this, you'll typically be greeted with this interface here. It will start on the Create tab. Now, what you can do at this point is you can literally say something like, I want to build a project management interface. I need it to, etc., and so on and so forth. And what will happen is, just like you do normally in ChatGPT, it will feed you, you're having a conversation, and it will feed you with an output to go ahead and build this GPT. But I'm not going to recommend that you do that. I've found it to be a lot more effective to just go straight to configure. Now, at this page, and this interface, we just need to go through each and every step to build our GPT exactly how we need it. So the first thing that you can do is you can upload a custom image for what you want your GPT to kind of have and look like. So as an example, I uploaded this image before. Now you can create that in Canva. You might have just an image that you kind of have on your computer locally that you can use. That is an option. You don't have to. If you don't choose to have one, it's just going to look like this kind of square box here. Just kind of bear that in mind. If you click this, it will open up your local drive. The next thing you're going to want to do is give it a name so that you can identify it and find it going forward. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to call it Project Management Interface. Now, it could be that you want your project management interface or specific GPT to do a very specific process. So you might just want to call that process here in the name. That's something you're going to need to think about yourself. But as I say, for this demo, let's just go very, very broad. Description. This will not impact how the GPT works or how you use it. This is merely to remind you exactly the use case for it. So here I would literally say something like, for this example, this interface will enable me to perform my PM responsibilities more effectively. Something really simple so that when I see this, I can't spell here. When I see this, I know exactly what this GPT is all about. Now, instructions, this is where you're going to want to spend as much time as possible. It is these instructions that are going to dictate what the GPT can do and the kind of output that it produces the first time round. So what I've done in a Google Sheets is I've just given an example of the kind of information you may want to consider feeding it. Now, again, this is going to be very specific to you and your use case. The first thing I'd recommend is giving context about you. So as an example, your years of experience in project management, the kind of industries that you work in or currently in. So it could be, finance, the type of business that your organization that you're working for, the kind of clients that you serve. You want to discuss the kind of projects that you manage. So as an example, is it digital transformation, marketing campaigns, process improvement, etc. Now, bear in mind, this is just an example. You just want to be very specific. So you'd want to say something like, I manage digital transformation projects. So hopefully that makes sense. Mention any team sizes you work with or who's going to be the recipient of your output. Discuss the project management methodologies you follow. So as an example, do you practice waterfall, agile, Prince2? Is it a hybrid? Again, these are just examples, but be very specific about what you need. Discuss the tools that you use. Are you using Excel, Google Sheets, or more of a project management solution like Smartsheet, Asana? That will help the GPT understand exactly how to provide you with its output and how you can use it from there. Talk about your communication style. Do you want it to be more professional or more friendly? Talk about the typical stakeholders that you work with. Are your outputs going to be primarily provided to senior leadership, your clients, or a mix of everyone? Then what you want to do is provide more custom instructions on how your GPT should respond. So do you want it to be more concise with no fluff and more practical? That's obviously what I'd recommend for a project management tool. You want to avoid any generic advice. You want it to be specific and actionable. You want to use project management terminology correctly, etc., etc. So I will leave this all in the description down below, and hopefully you've had a chance to see it, but this is exactly what I'd recommend that you do. So what you could essentially do is document all of this in a Word document, kind of copy it, go into the instructions and just paste it in. So that's simply what I've done there. Now, conversation starters, what you need to put in here. So if I go back to my project management assistant, which I'm just showing you as an example, these are the conversation starters. So what you need to think about at this point are your recurring tasks or what you typically ask ChatGPT to create or do for you. So in this example, we've got, I want to build a project plan, or help me create a project status report, or I need to send an email to, or what KPIs do I need to consider for? So these are just 4 different processes as an example. Now, all you need to do at this point is type them in. So let's just go with the first example. I need to create a project plan. And you'll notice that that enables a second line. Now, that just gives you the opportunity to work in the next one. So when your GPT is ready, so if we go back to our example, let's just press this, it's going to type it out automatically. That's the conversation starter. Now, you can get really advanced and really in depth with this, and that can be really, really useful. But look, this is going to spin up. Now, bear in mind, this project management assistant, I've gone through this process in the past, and it's going to pull in all of the instructions, all of the knowledge, which we'll talk about in a second, and it's going to leverage all of this functionality as well. So just bear that in mind. And look, it's going to pull out all of this or provide us with all this output, which is really, really useful. But you get the idea of how this is going to work. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is upload files. So it could be you have PDFs, Word documents, maybe you have them readily available. If you don't, obviously you can create those. What I'd recommend that you do with these files is just include as much information about you, your organization, assuming that you're allowed to use it. Perhaps you want to check with compliance, but you want to provide as much information as possible that your GPT can leverage for each and every conversation that you have with it. So it could be, as an example, a PDF of the kind of template requirements that you have. It could be about organizational policies, etc. Whatever is allowed in your organization, whatever's going to help you. That's what you need to think about here. Now, upload them. So if you click this, it will open up your local drive and you just upload the files one by one. So just make sure you create those ahead of time. The next thing you're going to do is choose a recommended model. Now, again, I can't specify exactly what you should use here. Depending on the time that you're watching this, based on when I recorded it, these may differ. But basically, my recommendation is use the latest model that you can, and I would recommend the thinking model, or the model that is going to going to spend more time before it provides you with any output. If you go instant, the output is more likely to be less effective or less likely to kind of scan all of your instructions, etc. So again, in this demo, GPT 5.2 thinking is the latest, most superior model. Now, in terms of capabilities, I recommend checking all of these. These just add extra functionality to your interface. So web search will enable you to do some research online, and it will basically be able to collate latest information and latest data that is found online. Image generation, if you wanted to create images, you could then obviously pull those in, or create those, I should say, or spin those up. If you don't check this, then you're just not going to be able to do it. So you might as well add it. And then code interpreter and data analysis is really important in project management. If you have lots of data that you want to analyze and report on, then this is going to be essential. So that's what I'd recommend that you do. And once you have all this built out, you can preview it. If I just refresh here, it's going to spin it up on the right-hand side, and we can start testing it. I could type anything in here and just start a conversation, or even click this and we're good to go. Once you're happy with it, click the create button. And at this point, you have the ability to either lock it down to yourself, share it to anybody with the link. You know, that's probably kind of, you could use this internally in your organization as an example. If you click GPT Store, it will publish that GPT and make it available in that interface that I shared previously. So obviously I'm not going to do that because this has not been perfected, but that's if you wanted to kind of make it kind of publicly accessible, basically. Hit the save button, and I'm just going to go anyone with link just for the purpose of this demo. And then here is this link. I could share this internally with my teams. You know, I could use it, I could bookmark it, etc. But therefore, when I plug that URL in, we're going to go straight to my new project management interface that we have created. And if I go open sidebar, you'll now see it is in here. Now, the other thing you can do, you're probably thinking, well, what if I want to change my GPT? You know, things change, things develop. You can do that. All you need to do is click on Explore GPTs, My GPTs, and then find it. So where are we? The top one here. And click Edit GPT, and it will take you back to the configure page, and you can, you know, change the logo again, you can change all the instructions, etc. This is how to generate your own interface in ChatGPT. It will save you so much time, I can't tell you. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, drop them down below. And with that said, best of luck, over to you, and I hope you have an excellent day.